go ahead and get started. But before we do, let's do a little housekeeping. If everybody would take a quick moment and just go on mute for me. That way we can minimize all distractions as much as possible. And just to go ahead and let you know, there will be a question and answer section at the end. So if you could take notes as we go along and write down your questions, and we'll be sure to allow you to ask those and get those answered at the end of the presentation. All right. So of course, first up, we have our welcome and introductions, and I will now turn it over to Catherine Dennis.
Good afternoon. I'm Catherine Dennis, and I have the honor of serving as president of the Community Foundation. And along with my wonderful colleague, Darius, we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us this afternoon. It should take about an hour and maybe 15 minutes or so, but we're here as long as you want for questions afterwards. And we're very humbled and honored to be able to partner with Macon-Bibb County, the mayor and the commissioners for this program. So now I'd like to introduce Darius.
Thank you, Catherine. And again, I'm Darius Maynard. I'm the program officer here at Community Foundation, and I echo everything Catherine just said. So I won't prolong that any further. Just know that we are very excited about this opportunity and look forward to working alongside all of you as well. So let's go ahead and jump right on into it. So the Macon Violence Prevention Initiative is a umbrella to various programs and other smaller initiatives here in Macon-Bibb County. Just to give you a quick background, one thing that we did was that in response to the reoccurring violent crime happening here in Macon-Bibb County, county leadership came together to develop the Macon Violence Prevention Initiative. This initiative is aimed to bring community leaders, neighborhoods, organizations, and people together, and also to foster the engagement of the larger community to develop and implement evidence-based solutions to violent crime here in Macon-Bibb County. This was launched last year on June 10th, and then since that time, this program and the community has been implementing evidence-based programs in our community to help reduce violent crimes. And so, as you see under early beginnings, while the larger MVP initiative was still being developed, we went ahead and moved forward to begin implementing, again, those evidence-based programs to address things such as mental health support through Making Mental Health Matters, neighborhood pride and cleanliness through Clean Street Matters, removing blight through Blight Fight. We also did some things with the public safety retention, as well as helping individuals and families experiencing homelessness through the Brookdale Resource Center. And of course, they also did the raising minimum wage to $15 through a county ordinance last year as well. And now, of course, we have the Macon Violence Prevention Grant Program. And so, as you can see with this graphic, all of these initiatives and programs come together to make up Macon Violence Prevention Initiative. So there's the Brookdale Resource Center, Making Mental Health Matters, Clean Street Matters, Blight Fight, $15 minimum wage, and of course the now Macon Violence Prevention Grant Program listed under community initiatives. So all of these various pieces of puzzles come together to make one whole. And all of this is structured around the Macon Violence Prevention Strategic Plan. So around mid to late last year, the MVP leadership team came together for a day-long session to discuss crime and hear about crime and learn about crime. And then on the flip side, to figure out ways that we can prevent it and ultimately reduce it and hopefully put a stop to it as much as we possibly can. And so this strategic plan came with 4 core principles. The first one is facilitate collaboration among leaders, including elected officials, neighborhood community leaders, faith-based leaders, and nonprofit leaders. An example of this is the District Attorney's Office RISE initiative. So as you see, another piece of the puzzle coming together under the umbrella of Macon Violence Prevention Program initiative. And then secondly, we did a lot of engagement with the community. And so last year there was over 14 public forums held with over 1,000 attendees to attend all 14 combined. The community also received over 700 online surveys where they were able to collect feedback from the community members on what crime issues existed and their ideas on how to resolve them. All of that feedback, all that data that came from those collections came together and played a big part in the creation of this strategic plan, as well as the overall Making Violence Prevention initiative. Next was investing in evidence-based solutions. Well, if you remember this time last year, the county supported Making Mental Health Matters, created the Making Mental Health Matters, as well as fully funding the River Edge Behavioral Health Center. And this was in response to Georgia being ranked 51 in the country that has access to quality mental health care. And so through this investment of Making Mental Health Matters to provide free mental health care in the key neighborhoods and also fully funded River Edge Behavioral Health, we've been able to provide more access to resources in the community, as well as treat one of those systemic issues that typically leads to violence. And then lastly, evaluate effectiveness. And we'll talk more about this later on, but we do want you to know that all of these programs, all of the ideas that you're going to come up with and provide and present to us, all of these will have key measures in place that we will be able to receive updates on program leaders and organizations to ensure that goals and objectives are being met, and that we're not just, putting resources into things that aren't proven to work, or as we begin to work and see your progress, that maybe we need to take a different route or do things a different way. And so there are some actionable goals that have been identified to address these systemic issues contributing to violent crime. And as you can see, those systemic issues are poverty, food insecurity, insufficient access to economic opportunity and quality jobs, substance abuse, homelessness, and recidivism. And so those actionable goals, as you get ready to see, are broken down into two categories. And I want you to also pay attention to the Making Violence Prevention Strategic Plan website. This is where you can get your copy of the strategic plan, so you can see all of this information that we're presenting to you. It is also on our website at cfcga.org, but don't worry about trying to write that down. It will be given out to you as well. Okay. So I just mentioned the strategic plan came with actionable goals and strategies, and those are broken down to two categories. The first one is law enforcement-led strategies, and then the second one is community-led strategies. As you can see, we have community-led strategies in bold and underlined. That's because for the purpose of the Making Violence Prevention Grant Program, this is where our focus is going to be on, okay? And so there are 6 community-led strategies that the strategic plan has put forth as means that we can, things that we can do to help prevent crime, things that you all can do to help prevent crime as you're ready to submit your applications to this program. So the first one is improving Making Bill's education system from early childhood through adult education. The second is investing in mental health resources and consumer participation, i.e. having those services available, but also having people partake in those services. The third is providing more supervised activities for youth. Number 4, providing support, education, and accountability for parents. Number 5, providing more resources to intervene in situations involving domestic violence. And then finally, number 6, increasing access to transportation. Okay. Someone said there's an echo and there's a mic on, so I'm going to ask, if you are just joining us, please go on mute. Please go on mute. Okay. All right. So those are the 6 community-led strategies. And as I mentioned earlier, you can go back through the Making Violence strategic plan to get a more detailed description of all of these. All right. Now let's talk about the grant program, another piece of the larger puzzle, the Making Violence Prevention Grant Program. So here's our purpose in the overview of that program. So our purpose is to support local charitable organizations who are 501c3 public charities, as well as those that are faith-based organizations in their efforts to reduce violent crime here in Macon-Bibb County. This program aligns with the county's Making Violence Prevention Strategic Plan to support organizations in their work to reduce and ultimately prevent violent crimes. All right. This program will consider applications for those community-led projects and services that are designed to reduce and or prevent violent crime here in Macon-Bibb County. And as you can see here, again, we have the Making Violence Strategic Plan in bold and underlined. This is key to this program, okay? Please do not move forward with trying to submit an application without going through that strategic plan, okay? That's the foundation of this grant program. The grant guidelines. So here are the requirements and eligibility for those of you who wanted to participate in this program. But number one, you must be a 501c3 public charity or a faith-based organization. Okay. Number two, you must be based in and providing the program or service in Macon-Bibb County. And number three, you must attend the MVP grant program orientation, which you are all doing right now. So that's 1 out of 3 that you can go ahead and check off. Okay. So again, you must be a 501c3 public charity or a faith-based organization. You must be based in and providing the program or service here in Macon-Bibb County. You also must attend one of the 3 MVP grant program orientations that are going on this week. Okay. All right. So grant guidelines. These can all be found on our website as well at this link. And we will actually take you through the highlights of those guidelines in this session. So you don't have to worry about trying to hop on to go see those right now. So first up, what are the funding priorities, i.e. what will be considered and what will not? So what will be considered are those projects, programs, and services that demonstrate the ability to achieve one or more of those community-led strategies from the MVP strategic plan. Here's the MVP strategic plan yet again. So again, remember those 6 community-led strategies? This is where your project must fall under. It could be 1 or more of these, but at minimum, it has to touch one of these. Okay. What will not be considered, and this is important as well, those organizations that are not tax exempt under the 501c3 public charity of the Internal Revenue Code, grants to individuals, but we will talk more about individuals later on in this orientation. Operating program and construction costs at schools, universities, and private academies unless, all right, unless there is a significant opportunity for community use of collaboration. An example of this is that I have the Darius Maynard Center for the Arts, and I want to hire a mental health therapist to provide services to my students and staff, strictly those that attend my school and work at my school, all right? That's not allowed under this program. However, if I have the Darius School of the Arts and I want to hire a mental health therapist to provide services for my students, my staff, and the surrounding community, that is allowed. But there has to be some significant opportunity for community use as well as collaboration. Okay. Next are those organizations or projects that discriminate based upon race, ethnicity, age, gender, or sexual orientation. All right. Next is political campaigns or direct lobbying efforts of 501c3 organizations. Post-event or after-the-fact situations or debt retirement. This basically means that our grant period won't start until May, okay? So if your project or program happens before that, that project is not eligible for this program because the project or program or service will have already happened, okay? So it has to happen within the grant period window. Then the final two, annual appeals, membership contributions, fundraising events such as golf tournaments, walkathons, and fashion shows. All those are not or will not be considered or funded through this program. Okay. So next, we have, in an effort to provide applicant insight to what the review committee will be looking for, we have developed this criteria matrix that has been made available to you all so that you can know what exactly you need to be putting in your applications. So I'll now turn it over to Catherine Dennis.
Thank you, Darius. I was trying to answer a question in the chat, and I'll say that all of you might be that if your program and your actual organization is not located in Bibb County and the program is not delivered in Bibb County, then you unfortunately are not eligible for this particular grant program. This is the Macon Bibb County Violence Prevention grant program. So I'm sorry for that. I really appreciate y'all investing this time. It's important and it may seem tedious to you, but we're trying to ensure that each of you has the best opportunity to be successful. And so by going through this in detail, we feel like it helps everybody, it levels the playing field, and that everyone hears the same thing and has the same opportunity. And the other thing that we have done that is new for us is to actually develop a matrix that'll kind of show you, we've got 7 criteria for that the review committees will look at and match the applications against. So you should be able to take this. It's on the website already, and Darius will tell you about it, but you'll have it in a toolkit available to you as well, so that you can really think through when you're writing your application that you're addressing all of these questions. And don't be intimidated by this. This is really meant to help you. And so I want to go through the 7 criteria fairly quickly, but just so you and really just talk about what is successful in that criteria. So the first is, like Darius stressed, linking the program and project that you are applying for funding for directly back to one of those 6 community-led strategies. You must have a tie-in to one or more of those strategies and be able to identify it. And then when you're talking about what this program is, how does it solve one of those community strategies, one of the difficulties that the youth or young people or people coming right out of prison, but how is your program actually reducing violence and crime? So those are successful. How do it is clear to anyone who reads that application. The next is the program capacity, your design and your implementation. Does your organization actually, can you accomplish what you want to accomplish? Do you have the capacity to do that? Do you have a track record? Or do you have can skills that you have in your prior volunteer things or your job, will they translate directly into solving this problem and being able to actually meet the goals that you set? Because you're going to set goals and provide them and then be able to track results for us. And along that, data driven, do you have the data? Have you got a solid way to collect data? Do you know what you're going to measure? What does success look like? And Darius is going to give you some examples later. But remember that this grant program is being funded by Macon-Bibb County. So not only the Community Foundation is asking for this data, because we report back to the county and to the citizens of Macon-Bibb County. And, but more importantly, I think if we're all focusing on the end result, that we're going to see the change we want. We're looking for systemic positive change in our community. I think that's why all of you are on this call today. Financial management and your budget. Is your project budget outlined? I mean, is it fully described? Does it make sense? And we've got a template for you. I think it should be fairly simple. Think of it in terms of what expenses do I have? That's like your household budget. I mean, what do I have to pay to get this program up and running? And then how am I going to pay for it? So how much of it is grant driven? How much of it is from contributions from the operations of your organization? But that's what we're looking for in the project budget. We're also going to be looking at the financial management of the organization. And we're asking for 3 years of profit and loss statements or an income statement, and 1 year of balance sheets, and for a 4-year fiscal year. Your fiscal year is your organization's year. Is it a calendar year, January 1st through December 31st? Is it the Community Foundations? It's July 1st to June 30th. Some organizations, I think the local hospital, is October 1st to September 30th. That is your fiscal year. And don't be intimidated. I know some of you don't have a bookkeeper. A lot of you, most organizations don't have a bookkeeper on staff, but it can be as easy as going back in your checkbook for the last 3 years. Where did the money come in? Where did your deposits come from? And what did you spend the money on? How much was salaries, rent? Was it for buying food for the program? You should be able to get that data, and this should be pretty simple for you to be able to put together. So looking at that financial management in your budget. And then, is it collaborative? I think this is, we hope, is an exponential experience for people, that 2 + 2 doesn't just equal 4, it really equals 12, that by coming together, we're so much stronger that we're able to accomplish more than we could as a single organization. So looking for groups to partner, that maybe you both have one piece of a solution, but if you brought them together, one has an after school program and somebody else has a job training program. So you're working with the kids and then you're working with the parents. I mean, that really is strengthen that family in a way that you couldn't. That's just an example, but we really hope that y'all will find ways to collaborate in the community and not try and start new nonprofits. If you have a really good idea, find somebody that has a similar mission to what you're trying to accomplish there. Is this the sixth one is outreach, direct service, and case management? Are there clear methods for you to implement this program? And can we see those methods in that application? I mean, we say evidence-based, but there are plenty of things that maybe your organization doesn't have the data, long-term longitudinal data for it to be evidence-based, but you're proposing something that if you look on the Department of Juvenile Justice website, which we'll give links to, that there's a program that yours is very similar, and there's lots of data that shows how well that stops or reduces crime and increases high school graduation, whatever, in a community, then you could assume that would translate with your program as well. And then the final one is that your organization in this project is for everyone. It's that it provides inclusion and opportunity for all. That we are going to be looking for programs that are eliminating what have traditionally been some major inequities and disparities in the community. So how does this program and how does your organization meet those goals? So that's a high level, but again, it's on the website, and we hope this criteria helps you as well. Darius?
Thank you, Catherine. I want to make a quick note. If everyone would please hold your questions until the end. There are a lot of questions coming through the chat, and we were trying to keep up with them, but y'all are asking a whole lot, and they are great questions. There'll also be great questions for everyone to hear the answer to.
We want to go all the way through the program, please, and then y'all can raise your hands, and we'll stay here as long as possible.
Okay. So let's talk about project design, and more specifically, the goals. So it's easier to succeed when you have clearly defined objectives that are based in reality. And so what we're trying to do is to help us all to think SMART in terms of goals. So SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable or achievable, relevant, or time-bound, or time-specific. So we're going to walk through a scenario together just to help you as you get ready to design your goals that you will be wanting to achieve with your grant program. So here's the example. All right, I'm Darius, so meet me. I'm the president of a local nonprofit, and we'll call it the Community Upliftment Foundation. I have been tasked with applying for funding to support crime prevention here in Macon-Bibb County. I know that I'll need all hands on deck to make this happen, but we do have one problem. When I've worked with my team in the past to set program goals, we've all quickly fallen off track, i.e., no one ever understood or had a clear understanding of what success should look like. And we weren't also monitoring the progress enough to report back and to show how far we have come. So in the end, the important goal that we were working towards slipped to the back burner, and we just never achieved it or never thought about achieving it again. So this time, I plan to think SMART and to create SMART goals for setting an action plan and staying the course. So what's specific? In order for a goal to be specific, in order for a goal to be effective, it needs to be specific. A specific goal answers questions such as what needs to be accomplished, who's responsible for it, and what steps need to be taken to achieve it. So I have presented an example here. So I want to reduce violent crime in youth by opening the Community Upliftment Foundation on afternoon and weekends to offer programs and services for homework support, extracurricular activities, and environmental exposure. Okay. So thinking through these three questions or questions such as these helps you to get to the heart of what you're aiming for, what you're aiming to do. The M, or measurable. Being specific is a solid start, but quantifying your goals, that is making sure that they are measurable, makes it easier to track progress and know when you've reached the finish line. And so let's just say that Darius and his team, or I and my team, want to reduce violent crime in youth. As we go back to this previous slide, my goal was to reduce violent crime in youth, okay? That was my specific goal. So how can I measure that? So I asked myself questions such as, by how much do I want to reduce violent crimes in youth? Or what does violent crime look like? And so let's say we identify violent crime in youth as the community surrounding the foundation has an average of 3 shootings every 2 weeks, okay? 3 shootings every 2 weeks. Well, what happens if I get it down to 2 shootings every 2 weeks? That's progress, right? But does that mean that we're done? So what is it that I'm measuring? That is what, or quantifying here. That's the key in the measurable part. Okay. Next is achievable or attainable. Goals should be realistic, okay? And not pedestals from which you in the end tumble from. So you have to ask questions such as, is your objective something that you and your team can reasonably accomplish? All right. We are not asking you to solve crime in totality. Okay. That is more work and more bodies that need to happen and be in place in order to do that. That is not your responsibility. All right. The title of this grant program is Making Violence Prevention, okay? In an effort to prevent and reduce violent crime here in Macon-Bibb County. No one ever said or claimed that we were going to solve every violent crime and stop it from happening in totality. So we don't want you to take on that weight. And so, going back to our example, I would then look at my goal and realize that given how small my team is and how much work we have, that creating programs and services for the weekend might be biting off more than we can chew. And so I decided to scale back just to offering those programs and services to after school and then increasing the program time throughout the week by an hour. So my new specific goal statement would say, I want to reduce violent crime in youth by opening the Community Upliftment Foundations on the afternoon to offer program services for homework support, extracurricular activities, and environmental exposure. Okay, so notice that it no longer says afternoon and weekends. All right. And if I can be just upfront and honest with you right now, this is totally okay. Okay. We don't want you to have some big, huge, broad goal that is unrealistic. Okay. We do not want you to bite off more than you can chew or more than you and your team can chew. It is okay. Next is relevance. So why is the goal that I'm setting or that you're setting relevant? Or why are you setting the goal that you're setting? Second question we'll ask is, how does this goal align with broader goals? But more specifically, going back to the strategic plan, how does it align with reducing violent crime? Or how does it align with the community-led strategies that you're working with? Then finally, why is the result important? And so Darius knows that the after-school program and services are hugely popular amongst youth in the surrounding community, and that an uptick in their program service usage could mean big things for the community's violence reduction and prevention goals. So now I'll revise my statement to reflect that context. So remember, my specific goal statement started off with reducing violent crime in youth by opening the Community Upliftment Foundation on the afternoon to offer programs and services for homework support, extracurricular activities, and environmental exposure. But now I've added on, because community youth tend to engage more with our programs and services, extending the hours of access will ultimately reduce their participation in violent crime. Where's my subject? My subject is the youth. Okay, reducing violent crime in youth. And so this statement at the end shows how relevant my specific goal statement is and how it relates back to the strategic plan. Okay, because the ultimate goal, reduce violent crime, reduce their participation in violent crime. So that just reminds you and keeps you on track with making sure your goals are relevant. And then finally, time-bound and specific or specific. SMART goals should have a time-related parameter built in so that everyone, including you and everyone on your team, knows how to stay on track within a designated time frame. If you remember back to the earlier portion of the scenario where it introduced it to you, no one ever got anything done on time. No one understood what their role was. No one understood what the ultimate goals were. So having these time-bound specific parameters in place helps everyone to stay on track and to understand what their role is and how to get it done within the time frame that it needs to be done. So here you ask your question, what's your time horizon? And when will the team start creating and implementing the programs and services that they've identified? And more important question, when will they finish? And so the new updated goal statement says, reduce violent crime in youth to 2 or less shootings every 2 weeks. This will be accomplished by opening the Community Upliftment Foundation on afternoons to offer program services for homework support, extracurricular activities, and environmental exposure, which will begin in March 2022. And then here's my relevant statement again. Since community youth tend to engage more with our programs and services, extending the hours of access will ultimately reduce their participation in violent crime. This is a good goal statement. However, it's very lengthy, right? It can be made better. So you will reduce or take off your relevant statement because you've gotten to this point. So you know now that your goal statement is relevant to the ultimate strategic plan goal that you're working towards. And so your final SMART goal will come out to say, I want to reduce violent crime in youth to 2 or less shootings every 2 weeks by opening the community upliftment foundations on afternoons for programs and services by March 2022. And from there, you're just defining what it is that I'm measuring. How am I going to measure it? And things of that nature. This is how we want you to think when you're doing and preparing your goals for this program. But just as important as the goals are your measurements, okay? So be sure to put emphasis on how you're measuring, what you're going to be what data and things of that you're going to be collecting, so that you can report that back as well. Okay. Going back to the grant guidelines. The geographic restrictions here, again, we've said this numerous times now, you must be based in and providing this program or service in Macon-Bibb County. And let me rephrase that. Your organization must be based in and providing the program or service in Macon-Bibb County.
Mailing address must be Bibb County too.
Okay. All right. Maximum grant amount. There is not a minimum nor a maximum. However, please keep in mind that there will be only between $330,000 to $660,000 that will be awarded. And it is very unlikely that one proposal will be awarded the entire pool of funds. Okay? So as you're working through your goals, go ahead and start thinking about a dollar amount to help you achieve those goals, what it's going to take. And keep a running total so that you know that you're not asking for too little or too much.
And Darius, I want to add, when you're thinking about that grant size, what will it take to accomplish your program? What other sources of revenue? These are the things that the selection committees will be considering. What, how much is it if this grant was made? Is there a possibility that for it to be sustained once grant funding goes away? So you wouldn't want to build a really great program around a grant program that is not, that you might get funding for once, and then you need to have a plan for how it could be sustained later. And also, if you are a newer organization without a track record and don't have a history of handling larger grants or larger sums of money, then probably asking for $50,000 might not be a way to start. It might be better to start with a smaller grant request where you could actually demonstrate your capabilities and your good work that way, as opposed to shooting for the outfield when you're not quite ready to get there yet.
Okay. So with this program, there are required documents that that you have to turn in along with your application. So you must submit a project budget, and it must be submitted on the MVP template, and I will show you that momentarily. You must submit an organization budget for your current fiscal year. You also must present or submit your past 3 fiscal year income statements, which shows your profit and loss. You also must submit your recent year-end balance sheet, which shows your assets and liabilities. In addition to that, for those financial documents, we're asking for a board authorization letter. It's just a letter from your board members or your board chair that says that you all have talked about this program and agreed that it is appropriate for this organization to apply for. We're also looking for your board of directors or trustees list that includes their board terms. And then finally, your current IRS determination letter.
Darius, I'd like to add on to this. When you look at the, when we said the past 3 fiscal years, if you will tell us and also that your IRS determination letter will also tell us, but you'll say on the application the date that IRS you received the 501c3 designation, or if you're a faith-based institution, the year that you were established. So if you're looking at if it, let's just say you were established on December 15th, 2019, you'll only have 1 year in your fiscal year is the calendar year. You're going to have one income statement that you can provide. If you were established in 2021, you're not going to, but it would behoove you to say you're from your start date till now, what your expenses and your income has been and what those sources and what you spent it on. What you should be able to provide that. I mean, that is just as a going concern, as a business. Nonprofit does not mean you're supposed to lose money. You need to be explaining where that money comes from. But if you've been around for 10 years, then you should be able to provide 3 years of information. A balance sheet could be as simple for a smaller organization. Again, remember, we're trying to make this accessible to everyone, but it could be as simple as I have $500 in the bank and we don't own anything, or we have $500 in the bank and we have, and I own a computer that's worth $1,000. So I have $1,500 in assets. I don't have any debt on this side. I don't have any payroll outstanding. So you have a net worth of $1,500. So it could be that simple. But there's some organizations who are on the call where you have audited financial statements. We're looking for those. But it doesn't have to be. Yet on the call Monday, someone said they don't have GAAP accounting financial statements. We're not looking for that. I mean, it can be cash basis. I mean, try not to make it harder than it is. We're just really looking to make sure that your organization has some basic bookkeeping, is because we have an obligation back to the county and to the taxpayers, and to when we're making grants, to make it to an organization that can manage the money that's been given to them and actually achieve what they set out to achieve.
I just wanted to show you all the MVP template, and this can be accessed from the grant guidelines, okay? But again, there's going to be a recap email to go out on Monday to everyone who's on this call. So all those links, documents, and everything you will be able to access. So here's the project budget summary spreadsheet. This is where you would enter your information regarding your project, not your organization, but your actual project that you're requesting funding for. All right. So of course, we're looking for your income. We're also looking for your expenses. All right. These spreadsheet will automatically start calculating everything for you. So as a sample, we completed a sample for you just so you can see how it works. So again, here's my Community Upliftment Foundation. I'm requesting $40,000 for the Youth Commitment Program. All right. So my individual contributions were $7,000, and then I explained what that $7,000 is. So these are basically individual contributions that have been collected from mail donations and from online platforms. All right. What foundation grants are going into this program? So $40,000. Why? Because we're requesting $40,000 from Community Foundation through the Making Violence Prevention Grant Program. And of course, we don't have any federal government support or any parent organization support. So we'll put 0 there and put not applicable. All right. Please do not leave anything blank. All right. If there's nothing that you have to submit or put in for it, just put NA. All right. And so as you're typing things in, I'm just going to add. So let's say I add $5 on, it'll automatically start calculating here. Okay. Same thing for your expenses. You get down to program salaries and wages. I'm requesting 25,000. I'm going to spend 25,000 on program salaries and wages, and this will be for what? One part-time program director and one part-time program developer. All right, and again, as I am putting money in, it's calculating it for me. Okay, this is the spreadsheet that you all have to put your program revenue and expenses on and submit. Okay, if you submit it on another form, that will automatically disqualify your application. So those are required documents. So next, we have the MVP grant program timeline. So first up are the live applicant orientations, which took place this week. The first one was on Monday at 6. Of course, you're attending one now. And then we have one final one on Friday at 11 a.m. On Monday, we will put one of these recorded sessions on our website for you to access in case you need to go back and listen to something again. You may have misheard something, that you misunderstood something, or missed something. You can go back and listen to it at your leisure. All right. On Monday, also March 7th, the application window opens. This means that the application goes live and you can start applying. Okay. Also starting on Monday and running through March 30th, Community Foundation will be hosting what we call office hours and providing you all technical assistance. And I will explain that more in detail in just a moment. On April 4th at 12 o'clock noon, the Making Violence Prevention Grant Program closes. All right. So your application has to be in by April 4th at 12 noon. All right. So moving from there, on the week of May 23rd, so somewhere between May 23rd and May 27th is where you will hear back from us whether or not you were approved for a grant or you were declined. And then just a few short days later, the grant period begins on July 1st. And then from July of 2022 to June of next year, we will also be hosting grantee trainings and collaborative learning exchanges. This will be available for those who are awarded a grant. It's mandatory for those who are awarded a grant, but it's also available for those who are declined. And these grantee trainings are basically going to go through the management of nonprofit organizations. So we'll talk about budgets, boards, fundraising, things of that nature. Okay. Then the collaborative learning exchanges will be for opportunities for those who are awarded a grant to learn from each other. What went well, what did not go well. Or you may hear that one grantee is holding an event and you want to partner with them on that event. That's what the collaborative learning exchanges are all about. Okay. Throughout your time during this application process, there will be interim progress reports due. As we go back to the evaluation we talked about earlier, we said there are measures in place for us to hear back from you all so that we can make sure that we're all stand on track together. And so those written interim reports will be due on September 30th of this year, December 31st of this year, and then March 31st of 2023. All right, and there will be a template provided for you to do that as well. Okay. And then somewhere between January 1st of 2023 and the end of January on the 31st, we will meet with you all to do grant update conversations. So we'll just meet to talk see how everything is going. You provide us an update, things of that nature. And then you will wrap your grant up with the completion and submission of a final report. So you can either turn this in 30 days after you have completed your project, but it must be in no later than June 30th of 2023. Okay.
But it's not, you can wait till, if you finish your project on February 15th, you should turn it in on March 15th. You don't wait till the end of June.
Yes. Okay. We're almost there. So how do I apply? Well, you apply online at the Community Foundation's website. The MVP applications can be completed and submitted online only, and you will need a web portal account to apply. And I'm about to show you the steps to register if you do not have an account already, and then how to access the application as well. And I want you all to note something. I'm going to say it now, but I'm also going to say it again once I get to the page. Please note that if you do not have an account already and you are registering for the first time, it takes at least 1 business day to process a new registration for us. All right. So please, please, please do not wait until the week of the deadline to register and try to apply for this program, because you will miss out. There's a strong possibility that you will miss out. Okay. Pull up the site. All right, so here I am. I'm at the Community Foundation of Central Georgia's website, basically www.cfcga.org. And I'm looking to apply for a grant for making violence prevention. What I'll do is I'll hit the login button at the top right corner of the screen. And boom, you get a message that says, welcome to the web portal. Some of you on here have already received a grant through us or a scholarship of some sort, so you may already have an account. So you all can take a moment to breathe while I talk to those who have not yet been to this website before. So if you're new to the Community Foundation and engagement, you would click the register button here to create your account. What you want to do is fill out everything that has a red asterisk by it. I'm going to type a new name. My name is Josh. Man, because keep sending my information. That's my email. My password is home1234. Simple. So everything with a red asterisk by it, you want to complete. When you get to portal access, the only things you will need is grant applicant to apply for grants. And if you're the president or CEO of your organization, you also need organization admin. All right. None of you on this call will need fund advisor, reviewer, or scholarship applicant. Do not check those. You will either need grant applicant or organization admin, or them both. So the bottom two, none of the top three. All right. The next, you want to include your information, of course, and then just accept the terms and condition of, oh wait, let's do this part. So if you're not a organization in our system already, what you'll do is hit to create a new organization. And it's going to tell you to please search first. Let's say I'm the Community Upliftment Foundation. I get a message that says no matching results found because I've never registered with this organization with this website before. All right. So now it's going to permit me to create a new organization. So now I need to type in my organization name, my tax ID, or the EIN number for the organization, as well as my address, phone number, zip, state, all that, website, copy the information from above, accept the terms and conditions, and then register. All right. And again, once you register, it takes what? 1 business day. 1 business day. And you will get an email, automatic email from myself that lets you know that you have been processed and you're now able to go in and apply. You will log in. You will search for available grants. And the application will be right here at the top for you. It will say MVP grant program application. I haven't added it up here yet. Okay. You all will only see grant applicant and organization admin, so don't mind these. Again, you don't need none of these. You just need grant applicant and organization admin. So just to show you what our applications look like, okay, some helpful tips for you. When you get into the application, I ask you, the number one tip that I can give you that will help you a lot is to always save your changes, okay? As a matter of fact, every time you complete a tab, click save, all right? That will protect you in the case of a power outage or your internet goes out or what have you. Always click save. My next tip is to follow the tabs from left to right. So once you complete grant contact information, go on to organization information. All right, then go over to project information. Then your narratives. If you recall, we said there's some documents that you have to submit. This is where you upload those. All right, but remember, after I complete every tab, I'm clicking the save button because I don't want to lose my work. Okay. And of course, finally, when you get ready to submit, you got everything attached, you filled in everything, you'll click the submit button. It's closed, so you won't be able to do it right now, but you'll get a message that says your application has been successfully submitted. One more key thing, an incomplete application is a disqualified application. All right. It's going to be near difficult to submit an incomplete application because it won't allow you to submit unless you have those things that are required in there. But just in case it somehow gets by, just know an incomplete application is a disqualified application.
And that goes for attachments too. We found in the past where people use the same attachment for, the same document for when different documents have been requested. A project budget is, they put their operating budget as the project budget. They're separate things. I think we had a question about the project budget. Did the expenses have to be for the fiscal year? On the project budget, we're looking, they could maybe cross your fiscal year. We're looking for the income and the expenses for the actual project. But so you're going to upload a project budget. You're going to upload, these aren't everything that you're going to need here, but you're going to upload your P&Ls, your whatever it asks for. You need to make sure you're uploading in PDF the requested form. This isn't a time to go renegade and say, well, I like my thing better. It's
Please don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of jumped ahead of myself. We just looked at the application, so we're good to keep moving here. But again, I will repeat those tips. Follow the tabs from left to right. Save after completing every tab. And also a good helpful tip. For those documents that we were asking for, go ahead and get those together, okay? Save them on a folder on your desktop so that when you get to that document submission page or document upload page, all you have to do is just go click, 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 submit, and then you're done. All right, you won't have to go searching for them. You already have them in a place that you know where they are, and you can submit them. And then finally, due to the expected high volume applications that will be turned in, again, an incomplete application would not be considered. All right, then finally, office hours and technical assistance. So starting on Monday, March 7th, you all will be able to schedule a time to meet with me one-on-one to discuss your grant application and your idea. All right. These times will be in 15-minute increments. All right. And will take place on Monday through Friday between the hours of 12 and 4. So I can see 15 people each day. All right, and you all will have 15 minutes uninterrupted with me to discuss your application. And here's the link to schedule, but again, don't worry about trying to copy this down. It will be emailed to you on Monday. For technical assistance, This means anything that you have an issue with, like something's not uploading, you forgot your password to your web portal, or something dealing with the functionality of the application, email mvp@cfcga.org. All right, that is the quickest way I can respond back to you and get you fixed. Please do not schedule an office hour to discuss getting help with access to the web portal and functionality issues, okay? Because I can easily take care of those with just an email. The one-on-ones are just for discussing ideas and things of that nature for the application.
And you don't have to do one of these 15-minute calls. It's just there if you have a lot of questions. If you're comfortable or you just want to shoot an email, you can shoot us an email to do that. It's really, we're just trying to make it to reach people how they like to communicate. Some people like to have a call, some people would rather just email. That's fine. You don't have to, and it's not going to help your chances if you have a call. I mean, that's not a factor at all. Right. And if we have questions once you apply, I promise you we will call you. So don't stress about that too. We will call you and get our questions answered.
Okay. Again, all this will be emailed to you in the email update on Monday.